right into it. We're going to pull back the curtain on pretty much every single app, every game, every website you use. And I'm telling you right now, this secret ingredient, it's not the code. Nope, it's actually something you can do with just a pen and paper. So does this sound familiar to you? You want to learn how to build stuff, right? So you go online, you find a tutorial, you spend weeks memorizing syntax, for Python or JavaScript. You follow along step by step and hey, you build a simple to-do app. And it works. But then you're stuck. The moment you try to change one tiny thing, the whole thing just crumbles. And that's when it hits you. You don't actually understand what you built. You just copied someone else's homework. So if it's not the code, then what's the missing piece? What is the real difference between just copying a tutorial and actually knowing how to build something from the ground up? This right here is what I like to call the coder's trap. See, we all think building an app starts with firing up the code editor, but that's just wrong. It's like an architect trying to build a house by just grabbing a hammer and nailing boards together randomly. No blueprint, no plan. The real work, the most important work, happens way, way before that. And this lays it out perfectly. You've got the wrong way, which, let's be honest, is what most of us do at first. You just jump straight into the code. But then there's the real process. This is how the pros do it. They start by really understanding the problem and designing the solution, a lot of the time just on paper, before a single line of code ever gets written. The code? That's just the final step, translating your thoughts into a language the computer understands. Okay, so now let's get to the big secret. The one invisible structure that is hiding inside every single piece of software you have ever used. Seriously, all of them. I mean, just think about these three for a second. You've got Spotify for your music, Gmail for your emails, and Instagram for your photos. They look completely different, right? They do totally different things. On the surface, you'd think they have absolutely nothing in common. Their code is totally different, their design is different. So what is the one identical thing that they all share? It's not the colors, it's not the buttons, and it's for sure not the code. So what could it be? It's this, the data model. Think of it like an invisible skeleton. That's all it is. It's just the answer to one simple question. What information does this app need to store and manage? For Spotify, that's stuff like songs, artists, and playlists. For Gmail, it's senders, subjects, and email bodies. For Instagram, it's photos, captions, and likes. Every single app is built around one of these skeletons of information. All right, enough theory. Let's actually get our hands dirty. We're gonna build that classic to-do list app, but this time we're doing it the right way. No computers allowed. This is all gonna happen right here, just with a little bit of thinking. Okay, first question, and this is probably the most important one. I want you to forget about the whole list of tasks for a second. Let's just focus on one single task. What's the absolute bare minimum information we need to know about that one task? Believe it or not, it really just boils down to two things. First, what is the task? We need the task name, something like buy groceries. And second, is it done or not? A simple yes or no, like a checkbox. That's it. That is the entire skeleton. And guess what? You've just designed your very first data model. Seriously, that's all it is. Awesome. So we've got our nouns, the task itself. Now we need our verbs, the actions. What can a user actually do with these tasks? In other words, what are the features? And this is exactly how real builders think. You don't try to build everything all at once. That's a recipe for disaster. You start with the absolute must-haves, the bare minimum to make it useful. For our to-do app, that means we must be able to add a task, see our list, and mark a task as complete. That's it. Deleting a task? That's a nice to have. We can add that later. Due dates and priorities? That's way off in the future. You always start small. So let's walk through the logic of adding a task. It's just a sequence of steps. Step 1, the user types something in the box. Step 2, they click the Add button. Step 3, the app needs to save that new task somewhere. And then, Step 4, the app has to show the user the new updated list. See that? You're thinking like an app. You're breaking a big action down into tiny, logical steps. Okay, now for the part that really separates the beginners from the pros. Before you write a single line of code, you have to put on your what-if hat. You have to actively try to think of all the ways your beautiful little app could break. Here's a classic example. What happens if the user doesn't type anything in and just clicks the Add button? Hmm? What should our app do? Should it create a weird empty task? Or even worse, could it crash?
The solution is actually pretty simple. We just add a rule, a little check. Before the app saves the task, it first asks, hey, is this text box empty? And if the answer is yes, it just doesn't save anything. Instead, it could pop up a little message that says, whoops, please enter a task. It's a tiny bit of logic that prevents a huge headache later.
And here's the other big one you have to think about. With our design so far, what happens if the user refreshes the page or closes the browser? Poof, all their tasks just disappear into thin air. That's not a very useful app, is it?
The solution here is a concept called persistence. It's a fancy word, but the idea is simple. Think of it like this. Right now, we're writing on a whiteboard that gets wiped clean every night. Persistence is like writing in a permanent notebook instead. We need a way to store the tasks somewhere that lasts, maybe in a database or even just a little storage spot inside the browser itself. That way, when the user comes back tomorrow, all their stuff is right there waiting for them.
So look at what we just did. We've basically designed a fully functional app, and we haven't touched a keyboard. But here's the really cool part. The exact same thinking process we just went through, it applies to literally every single app out there. It all boils down to just five core ideas. And I mean it. If you can get your head around these 5 things, you can understand how anything is built, from our simple to-do list all the way up to a massive app like Instagram or TikTok.
So here they are. Number 1, the data model. That's our skeleton, right? What info are we storing? 2, CRUD operations. It sounds technical, but it just stands for create, read, update, and delete. It's just the basic stuff you can do with your data, like creating a new task or deleting an old one. 3, the flow or logic. That's the step-by-step thinking. 4, edge cases. That's our what if it breaks thinking. And 5, persistence. How do we make the data stick around? That's it. That's the whole game. Master these 5 concepts and you can map out how to build anything.
And this, right here, is the biggest takeaway of all. The real superpower of a great builder isn't typing code super fast. It's not about memorizing 1,000 commands. The real skill is the thinking that happens before you code. It's about spending your time on the blueprint, on the logic, on the plan. And then, only then, do you spend a little bit of time translating that perfect plan into code. So there you have it. The big secret isn't hiding in your keyboard. It's been in your head all along. It's just a way of thinking, a framework for solving problems. So now that you know how it's done, the only real question left is, what are you going to build first?